I want to express how excited I am that you all made it. I'm very happy to see each and every one of you today. And it has been long coming. We've been planning to do a session about undergrad opportunities, and lo and behold, today we are having one with amazing panelists. So to everyone who was able to join us, I know people are going to be joining us along the way. And if you know anybody within your community that would benefit from this opportunity, from this kind of information, and you know that they're aspiring to, to apply for undergrad, and they're looking for various opportunities out there, please recommend them because the session is going to be a very insightful session, and I believe nobody would want to miss any bit of it. And to everyone that is here, I know in the emails that we've been sending out, we told each and everyone to come with a pen and paper, come with your questions so that, when we reach at the Q&A section, you can all bring up your queries, and we'll be more than happy to address the queries. So for those who have joined this session and it's their first time to hear about Next Gen for All, I'm going to do a little bit of introduction about that. You get to know about what Next Gen is, what we are doing, and why we are having this session today. So basically, Next Gen for All is a platform or an organization that shares or avails academic information to all students out there. If you go on our various platforms, on our website, on our social media platforms, all you'll find there are academic opportunities that you can actually apply for and you can land. So what we're doing is, bridging the gap between information, creating that pathway for you to easily access these kinds of information. By more than availing information, what we're doing is we also run a mentorship program. So in the mentorship program, what we do basically is we enroll a certain number of students in our mentorship program, and we mentor them throughout the whole application process. So let's say you are a senior six graduate student, you're thinking about applying for various undergraduate opportunities, and you don't know how to go about that. So that's how we come in as an organization. We have a team of mentors who have walked the same journey. So they come in, they walk the journey with you, tell you this is how we did this is review your materials and everything until you've been able to apply and submit your applications. And the most beautiful part of it is that we do not charge for our services. We do this as a way of creating that impact and giving back to the society and making sure that each and everybody is able to learn their academic trajectory. So another way we do what we do is we organize such kind of sessions. Not everyone is going to be able to join the mentorship program. So for those who are not able to join the mentorship program or we are not aware about the mentorship program, we organize such kind of spaces, webinars where we usually have these webinars every month. So we bring panelists who have gone through the whole process as the way you're going to go through the process, and then they talk about the journey, and they also get down to the actual bits of it. Say, if you're applying to Asia, if you're applying to Europe, if you're applying to US, this is how you go about it. These are the opportunities out there that you can look out for. If you're applying for this X, this is how you're going to actually do it and nail it. So our primary existence as an organization is to make sure that there is an equitable distribution of academic opportunities to all students. And we believe that that should also, since it's a basic right, it should also be free of charge. So if you're a student out there, if you've been working hard in school, but you don't know how to navigate the next stages of education, this is why you're here. This is why you exist as an organization. And partly this is why we're having this session. So, there is so much, but if you want to know more about what you're doing, please visit us on all our platforms. Send in your questions. We'll be more than glad to address all the queries that you have. So today's webinar is targeted for everybody that is thinking about undergraduate college admission. So this is if you're a senior 5 student, you're like, okay, I know I have 1 year to go, and then I have to, start thinking about what is next for me. You're a senior six graduate or a current senior six student, planning what do I do after this? Probably you're in your level one university, but you still find that there are some gaps you still need to fill. So if you are that person, you're in the right place to be. And in this session, basically, we will concentrate on US applications. So there are various applications for undergrad. We have Europe, we have Asia, but this one will primarily focus on US. And if possible, in the future, we'll also organize one on Europe and Asia. So here we'll be talking about a lot about US. We have three panelists. Two of them are our mentors. We work together in next gen, and they'll be talking more about that. And then we have Lisa, who has also gone through the US applications, and it does content on Common App. And today we are privileged to have her here, and all of these people are gathered here to make sure that they shed light on this. They avail all the information regarding these application processes, so that today, by the end of this session, you're going to be able to get out there and actually apply with confidence and with much more information. So without further ado, we're going to kickstart our session. Drum rolls to all our panelists, and I wish you all the best. I can't wait to hear from each one of you the packages that you prepared for us. And yeah, I think that's just it. I'll just start from there. So to our panelists, how you're going to do this, you are going to start off with a brief introduction of yourself, your names, your maybe a little bit of your journey to where you are right now, and then you jump into what you're going to be presenting, and then we'll move on from there. Otherwise, thank you very much. Lisa, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Hi everyone. My name is Lisa Keza. I born and raised in Rwanda, Kachiru, guys. If you know the plug, that's my home. Um, so I would say I go to Oral Roberts University. It's in Oklahoma. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and my major is computer science, and I am a second year. So my college application process, I would say, was not linear. I applied to 30 schools, 30, and I did that for free. And I got a lot of rejections, and it only took one yes for me to commit to a school. But otherwise, I applied to a lot of schools because in my head, I was like, if I don't get in with a scholarship, I cannot attend school because school in the US is so expensive. So I would say, like, as we go through this webinar, I want you to think to yourself that a lot of our journeys are very different, and it only takes one yes for you to come to the US or, to leave or live abroad. So, yeah, that's something I would say characterized my journey, that one yes that I had, and just applying and putting my best foot forward in all the applications that I did. Yeah. I mean, over to you, Sonia.
Hi everybody. My name is Sonia Shumagasaro, and I go to Oklahoma Christian University. I'm majoring in computer science with AI. I'm a freshman. Freshman means first year, and I've been here for almost 2 months now, 2 months, and I applied here through Common App. I applied also 10 schools. I can say I did 30 like Lisa, but I can say I did like 10, and yeah, a lot of rejections too. But I got here. I have a partial scholarship, and yeah, I think that's all. I've been applying for 3 years. I started in 2K23, and yeah, here I am. Over to you, Merci.
Oh, okay. Hey everybody. My name is Merci Mukasafari, and I am a senior, which means I'm in my last year. So this is exciting because you guys have like people who are in their first years and their second years, so like literally went through this really recently. But for me, it was like a little bit later. And so I'm in my fourth year in college. I go to Wellesley College, which is like this small college near Boston, and it's like really lovely. And yeah, so my journey is also not so different from what Sonia and Lisa went through. I went to Marinundo Girls School for my high school in the A levels, and then I applied there through Marinundo. I applied to also like a lot of schools, like maybe 20. I was like literally near what Lisa went through. I applied to like 20 schools and I got all rejections, like literally everything was rejected. So I applied when I was in my S6 and then I applied in my gap year. And yeah, so I applied in my gap year and then I applied ED at Wellesley and then I got in. And yeah, so I think it's really important to know that rejections don't really reflect on your how do I say, on your strength as a candidate or your strength academically or who you are as a person. It's like a really weird thing that happens to everybody. So yeah, maybe by sharing our rejection stories, you guys can like know it's okay if you get rejected and keep going forward. And yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Right, right. So that was a very good introduction, and I think you've tackled several things that we are going to be looking at throughout the session, talking about the admission process, talking about the rejection bits, and these are key areas we have to come back to. So now, to students who are curious. Okay, I hear you guys apply to 20 schools. That's Marcy, 10 schools, Sonia, then 30 schools, Keza. How is that possible? How did you, how did you make it? Okay, how did you do it to apply to the 30 schools? Basically, what I want you to do is, if I am a student right now and I want to apply to US, how can I make it? And why is it important that I have to apply to 30 schools? And how do I navigate that process? Over to you, Keza.
Thank you so much. So, first off, it feels very weird just talking. Like it kind of feels like I'm not seeing everybody, but I know you all are listening, and I'm very glad to have you guys. Um, I would say for me, it looked very different. Fee waivers were an option for me, and like the Common App, when we go through it, I will show you guys. It's so easy to set up your application, so you can select, hey, I can't afford to pay fee waivers. So in the Common App, I had 20 schools that I could apply for free because I got that free waiver. And on the side, if I applied directly to a school, I would ask them for fee waivers. So I would just send an email, hi, my name is Lisa. I'm an international student. I cannot afford to pay $75. Can you please send me a fee waiver? And 9 times out of 10, they always send fee waivers. But also, it's very long to do that. So what I also did was I applied through other like applications. Like one was called Score. I applied through there, and it also was free. So I would say it's a lot of use whatever you have because you could also go to a Common App and find out that maybe you're not eligible for a fee waiver. That's when you start drafting that email and saying, "Hey, can you send me fee waivers?" And they're so receptive of that. They actually will give you a fee waiver. So that's how I was able to apply to a lot of institutions without paying even $1. Yeah. How
All
about
right.
you?
All right, thank you very much for highlighting that. So, by highlighting that, you've talked about the common applications. You've talked about the score application. I don't know whether it's also called like that. So, and I understand that you have a presentation that is already put together. So maybe you could take us through the presentation where we get to understand, first of all, what is common application? Why should I apply through common application? And how does it make a difference? And then maybe shed light on the on score platform so that we as the audience get to understand much more about that.
Okay. Also, I'm a little bit sick, so I'm going to try to make sure I don't sneeze on here. But
Okay.
these are a few infographics that I got off the Common App website, and it's the best and most reliable place to get all your information. So if you're looking to just navigate everything, I would say the website is like your biggest help. So what is the Common App? The Common App is a nonprofit college access organization that helps students apply to college every year. Their free application tool is designed to make applying to college feel faster and easier. With Common App, you only need to use one system to apply to many colleges and universities. There are two main parts, a common application and each college-specific question. The best part is you only have to fill out the common questions one time. Common App is a place for you to learn about college admissions, understand how to plan and apply, discover all the colleges have to offer. It's a hub of information that you can guide through each step, and it's a resource that connects you to financial aid and scholarship opportunities. So, at a glance, um, in the US, there's about like, I don't know, I don't remember if this is accurate, but there's about 3,000 plus universities. So the Common App legit more than 1,000 universities and and colleges use the Common App. And a lot of people are going to be like, what's the difference between college and university? In the US, colleges are smaller, and Mercy's gonna talk about that because she goes to a college. And then universities are bigger. So universities are like 30,000 people. Think me, mine is a university. We have about 6,000 students, and then colleges are much more smaller, where it's like 1,000 students, and they're just more focused on something specific. And universities are more bigger, more research going on, but it's the same things. So there are 300 plus public colleges and university, 50 plus international universities in 15 countries, 150 plus minority serving institution, 500 plus colleges without application fees, 950 plus Common App member college do not require ACT or SAT score. How the first year Common App works. A quick guide for students using the first year Common App. So, to my understanding, a lot of people on this call are either in senior 5 or senior 6. That's really good because that makes, if you're going to apply, that makes me think that you're a first year. But if you're already in university, let's say for example you started at ALU, University of Rwanda, you're classified as a transfer student. So I want you to keep in mind those things because it's important that you understand that this is a process where you're going to keep trying. So even if you proceed and go to ALU, don't lose hope. Like that looks good. You can still transfer credits. You can still study abroad. So the first one is adding colleges. You can get started in the Common App by adding colleges to your list. You can find colleges under the apply the college search in your Common App. College search also has information and links to help you research each college. Number 2, stay organized. When it comes to tracking this information and staying organized, they're here to help. Number 3, complete and submit. Answering all the questions in Common Application is a great way to start your application. Each college might ask college-specific question, invite managed recommenders, complete supplements. Let's go over it here. College App 101. Kind of the same thing, really. Some notable schools that use the Common App, you guys might recognize some of these. University of Southern California, Clemson University. We have University of Georgia, which is one of the best with like computer science and stuff. We have Vanderbilt University. We have University of Florida. We have so many universities that use the Common App. Fee waivers, we kind of touched on this. You can get a fee waiver. You can use the Common App fee waiver section of your profile to request a fee waiver. So just to be clear, fee waivers can be requested in Common App. You don't have to email every school, okay? Now this might look different because we're international students, and just that in case that happens, like then you have to talk to the schools, researching schools. So let me see if I can zoom here. Over here in the Common App, you can find a college. You can do this after your primary college search to help you narrow down your list. Once you have an account, there's also a college search tab, links for external sites, and updated dates for admission requirements. So remember when I said that you have to stay focused and like make sure you are keeping track of everything? Colleges have different deadlines, and if you miss a deadline, it's done. You can't apply again. You have to wait the next year. So it's important that you understand that each school has its own deadline. Make sure you understand that and set yourself up for success. So To create an account, it's very simple and it's free. Also, guys, you can download the app, which is really, 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 really good. You can just go on, let me see, how do I put this? All you have to do is just say commonapp.org and you can sign here or log in or create an account. Oops, sorry. And yeah, you can just proceed from there. The Common App tab has profile, family, education, testing, activities, writing, courses, and grade. So this is like everything. You just have to put that everything, and once you finish that, you never have to do it again. You can send it over to many institutions. So in the My College tab, you have all your college. As you can see, this is a screenshot of a student who has different colleges. We have Davidson College, Emory College, Furman, Louisiana State University, A&M. So over here, you can kind of see each college is put right here for you to access, and it's just so nice that you get to just access that in one place and not do so many other things. The Common App has its famous activity session where you get to put everything that you did in high school, right? So if you were in any club, if you were in any sport, if you volunteered, if you did an internship, this is where you get to talk about that. So an example here would be an original one. For 2 years, I volunteered at my local animal shelter. I helped out where needed, but mainly walked dogs and monitored the front desk. Last year, I was asked to take on more responsibility and have been volunteering at the receptionist for weekends. In the Common App, you cannot say all of these words, so the edited version for it is volunteer at a local animal shelter, walking dogs, and running front desk. Given more responsibility last year and now volunteer as a receptionist. So as you can read here, the edited version fits the character limit and still gives important details. Time spent on the activity has been taken out because the information is reported elsewhere in the section. For each activity, you'll provide hours spent on the activities and then weeks spent per year. So when I was applying in the Common App, and I was actually looking for my actual Common App and I couldn't find it, which is kind of sad. But when I was applying, an activity I put that I remember was I used to volunteer at my church in Rwanda. I attended CLA and I was a volunteer. I was part of their choir. I was a volunteer. So I would put volunteered at CLA Rwanda as a singer and as a volunteer. And then I would say every week, that was about, say, 10 hours every week or 5 or 6 hours. And then how many weeks per year, you guys have to realize how many weeks you did it. Now, for me, I would say out of the whole year, it was a lot of weeks. So I would say about maybe 50 plus weeks, right? So that's how it is. You talk about what you're doing and you put it in there, just really small and concise. Um, Moving on, helpful tips. So for the activities list, you need a maximum of 10 activities, so choose wisely. And also, you don't need to put 10 activities. If you only did 5, put 5. Consider activities with continuity, meaning something you did throughout. If it was a one-time thing, don't put that. Choose activities that you plan to continue in college. I currently serve um, as a worship leader, and I still do it in college, so I think that was also fitting. Include leadership experience, right? If you were president of your club, what did you achieve? Did you fundraise? Did you do outreach? Stuff like that. Only 150 characters, so make it brief. Use action verbs and data points. Action verbs are basically like if you're writing something on your resume or something on the activities list, don't say, I am a member of a club. That's not gonna put you in a like a really advantaged position. You need to say, I started a campaign, I led a campaign, I um, streamlined operation. You got to put something that's actionable that makes it look really good. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because most international students, they make this mistake of just saying, I was part of a club. I was da 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 da. And while that is good, it doesn't look good for the officers, the admission officers. You gotta say that I did something, like I contributed. I didn't put your strongest activities first. So if you did something extraordinary, which I know a lot of people in this room, we're up to some real good stuff, put that first. Don't put the boring stuff first. The writing section, it's you typically have about 250 to 650 words. I would say like the most important thing from this webinar that you gotta understand is that your writing section is the most important. It's accumulation of your application, so give it time, think about it, write drafts, edit it, repeat. Use the personal essay to show who you are, be descriptive, clear, show your personality, show how pieces of your applications fit together, choose a prompt that you understand. So the Common App has about 4 prompts or 5, if I'm not mistaken. You have to choose one. And I think maybe we'll talk about this more when we talk about, the writing section of it. Um, Choose a prompt that will lead to self-reflection in your writing. Be forthright about what you're good at. Don't be arrogant. Avoid cliche and overused phrases. Be authentic. So I will say my biggest advice to everyone on this webinar is take time to actually put in a good essay. Put in your best foot forward and spend time. I know when I was applying to university, I spent I think 2 months on my essay, just every day writing it. I would send it over to my English teacher. She would help me. And if you don't have people to help you, you have all the mentors here to help you. You have even nowadays we have a lot of online resources, really. But seek help. If you don't seek help, it's going to be a bad essay because I'm going to be honest, no one has ever written a perfect first essay. So make sure you put your best foot forward and get that help and prompt. Another thing I want to talk about is the community disruption. So in the Common App, as you can see in the screenshot here, it's kind of hard to just make it, yeah. Okay, perfect. There is a section called community disruptions. These prompts are optional. You don't have to answer this. So separate from the other essay, the additional information is your chance to address a GPA hiccup, further context, severe health condition. Look for frequently asked questions to clarify. So, for me, on the community disruption, I talked about how um I didn't have the best educational journey. So most people, if they have a good educational journey, they only go to one school their whole life. For me, I went to like 5 schools, and moving around was so much. And that affected my learning, making friends, all of that stuff. So I talked about how um, I want them to understand that I moved so many schools that I did not have stability. So I did fail a few classes in high school actually, and that was a huge reason why. A class I failed was physics. I was never good at physics. I got bad grades in physics. And in my opinion, I thought, oh my God, no one's gonna admit me or give me scholarships because of my bad grades in physics. I literally would have like C's and D's. It was bad. It was that bad. But what I did was instead of looking at that as a challenge, I put it in my additional information. I said a reason why I failed physics is because my middle school did not have a physics teacher. So when I went to high school, I was failing it. So that also was really good. I know somebody gave me feedback and told me that, Lisa, that gave us so much insight. And so we didn't look at you as a failure, but rather somebody who tried to use the best opportunities to get better at something even when they didn't have support. Also, you can talk about if you've been affected by anything, the COVID-19 pandemic, somebody in your life tragically passing away, maybe financial issues, you've maybe been affected by poverty. I don't want you to see that as a challenge or hindrance for you to apply to US colleges. They are willing to invest in international students as long as you talk about it and explain it, because you only have one chance to talk to the admission officer. It's through the Common App. So I want you to think as you're sitting on top of the screen, what is something that in your life has just hindered you and you just feel like, oh my God, this is not who I want to be, talk about that. Maybe you can talk about how growing up you were the one raising your siblings because mom and dad were always at work, or maybe dad was not in your life and you were the one helping your mom, make sure the kids get to school on time. That is so valuable to them because they're like, this person did school, handled life, and all these things, and it just looks really good. So use the additional information to the best of your advantage and talk about anything. Maybe it's, but also don't talk about it in like, okay, give me money in an arrogant way. Make sure it's professional. And then yeah, that's really it. Yeah, that's really it for my presentation. Wait, I did have one more thing. It's just for the international students, 200 countries use the Common App each year. Um, the deadline, guys, the deadlines. This is where we need to lock in. Each college can choose their own admission plans and deadlines, so make sure you are up to date. Another thing, the application deadline is to be submitted by 11 p.m. your local time zone. So right now in the US, we are 8 a.m. and in Rwanda it's 3 p.m. If it's due today, it's due 11 p.m. your time. For me, I will still not be out of the day. So some people might think, okay, I have to submit. If I submit it on American timing, I'm fine. No, they're asking you to submit at 11 p.m. in your local time zone. This is very important. Um, One thing, how do I send transcripts? Your counselor will submit transcripts. If you don't have a counselor, any school official who has access to your academic records, we recommend you invite a school official who can speak on your academic performance. Um, Additional forms. Some colleges will ask for letters of recs to be submitted. You need to submit those. What should I do if I need help with my application? Support is available. What should I do if I have a question to a specific college? If you have a college specific, you need to reach out to the college directly. Um, Again, remember 500 plus colleges have no application fees, and there's also support for counselors. And then lastly, I'm going to skim through this. I know I'm taking a lot of time. This is a dictionary, and I'm going to send all of these stuff in the chat so that you guys can have them. But FY is first years, TR is transfer. So let's look at first years. The most important thing I would say is let's see what's important here. Oh yeah, the most important is early action, early decision, essay evaluation. So early action is an application process to apply and receive a decision earlier, like a regular decision. Unlike ED, EA is non-binding, and you may have no obligation to enroll until you have until May 1st to consider the offer. So basically, early action. Right now we're in the month of October. The early action deadline is November 1st. So if you were to apply to an early action deadline, you have 1 month to get that in. But if you get in, you don't have to enroll. Like you're not going to like go there. You can choose to go or not choose to go. Early decision is a binding application process by which you commit to enrolling at a certain college if you're admitted. You can apply to other colleges, but you only ED to one college. So as I end, those are the two things I also want you guys to think about. I know that one panelist talked about how she early decisioned, which was really smart. But if you get into your early decision school, you have to go. Like you have to go, and unless you tell them no, I'm done, I'm not doing this. But you have to go. You can't apply to other schools. So yeah, that's it for my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Keza. That was quite a full overview of everything. So for everyone who joined us a little bit late, this is a webinar that has been put together by NextGen, and we're talking about US applications. And what Miss Lisa was sharing with us in a nutshell, she unpacked everything about common applications. So what I took out of it is that if I am a student and I want to apply to US specifically, there is a portal, a medium through which I can apply to various US institutions, i.e., the common application. So how I go about it is I create an account, or I can even download the app and have it on my phone, create an account, right? And then on that in that application, there are several portals where I have to fill, and there are various ways on how to fill that, and our panelists are going to come back to that. But I also learned that, through that application, you can apply to over 200 universities. Is it 200 or 2000, something like that, to multiple universities in the US. So now, since I know it was a lot, but this whole session is recorded, so we'll be sharing it with everyone who registered for this session, and you can always come back to all the details, and so that you don't miss out on any detail. So another thing that Lisa talked about that I would want to come back to is that there is why she mentioned that various students across the globe who are aspiring to study in the US, they're all using that common application, which means that in addition to you who right now is applying, there are several other people who have actually already started their applications, because we have EA that is going to close somewhere in November. So that means people have already started applying. So one thing you need to keep in mind as an applicant is that you need to apply as a global applicant. Know that you are not the only person that is applying. Thus, you need to apply in a way that you're going to stand out. And you need to be able to understand yourself as an applicant, right? What makes me stand out from every other person that is standing out? Was I just a student? How did I navigate life in general? What leadership roles did I take up? What makes me different? But also in the same line, you need to be as authentic as possible, because again, if you put in something that is not accurate and they get to know about that, you get flagged, and I don't think that's something you would want to happen. So now, getting back now, maybe we'll not be able to cover everything that is on the common app, but on this panel we have Miss Marcy, and who is currently going to Wesley College, and you were able to go to that institution. I believe you secured that admission through the common application, right? So while you were doing the whole common application, what was your experience generally? Did you have a similar perspective as what Miss Lisa shared? But after that, I want you to take us through the personal essay. So for everyone in the audience, I think Miss Lisa tackled it. When you have an account on Common App, there is where you have to do a general essay. So you feel free to correct me. Of course, I don't have information about Common Application, but then there is where you have to write it's called a personal essay, right? So this personal essay makes you stand out as an applicant, and there is this whole general structure of how to write an essay, and everything. But then, how can I craft an award-winning essay, personal essay? Okay, Mercy, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. So I think my journey was kind of the same. I think I touched base on it a little bit. So for me, when I was applying to Wellesley, I applied ED or early decision, as actually like Lisa said. So early decision is like binding. When you apply early decision and they take you, even if you literally apply early decision at Wellesley and Wellesley takes you, even if you apply regular decision and you get an admission at Harvard, you cannot go. If you go, they will take you to court. Okay, they would never take you to court, but you actually like signed a thing. So you have to be so careful, because if you choose a school to be your early decision, you have to be more than sure that you actually want to go to this school. And if they take you, they actually admit you, you want to go there. So there is like no changing your mind. And they can never find out that you actually engage with any other institution, because they can revoke admission and everything. So you don't want to do that. And so, yeah, that is for me. I really liked Wellesley, and it aligned with most of the things that I actually like stand for and everything. So I applied. I'm just gonna like talk about the personal statement. So for the personal statement, this is one of the most interesting. very interesting part of your application, because this is like the one place you're able to distinguish yourself from every other person who's applying. As Rachel said, you have a lot of people applying. You have a lot of people from the US applying, from Asia, from Canada, from Australia, from Africa, from Rwanda, from your school. So how do you actually stand out? Because you do not know how many people are applying, but on average, I think like for Wellesley, we receive about like 10,000 applications, and they take about like 500 to 600 people per class. So you see like a lot of people are applying, and a lot of people like usually want the same school for a certain reason, and it's usually the same. So this is like one of the places where you get to distinguish yourself from every other applicant. One of the things like you would want to know like about the personal statement is like, this is a narrative essay. So you're kind of like narrating your life in a way that you're showcasing who you are as a person in 650 words, which is very, very hard to do. The common mishaps that people actually do, or like these pitfalls that they fall into, is trying to write about your life story in like 650 words, which you cannot do. You cannot start like when I was a kid, when I was in kindergarten, when I was primary, when I was in you cannot fit all that experience of your life in one like essay in 650 words. So you want to actually like choose a story or an account of your life that you think best represents you. Maybe it was a time, as Lisa said, you have an opportunity to write about class struggles or any other struggles in that additional information. So do not use this space to talk about how classes were really hard for you, because you have an additional essay to do that. You want to highlight your values, who you are as a person, things you believe in. If you're applying for like a very specific kind of, I don't know, like subject or kind of school, maybe a nursing school, maybe an aviation school, maybe an agriculture school, you want to maybe highlight why that is really important to you and tell a story about why that is really like something that you want to like do in something. So yeah, in what I can say in a few words, one of the things that you could think of doing right now to prepare for your personal statement, if you feel like all I'm saying is just words and you cannot connect it, is try to go online and just like look at like the best college essays from any given year. They're there, and read and try to figure out and try to see like the pattern that they have that made them the best essays. The best essays will always be clear. They will always like, you will always like know who the person is or what they stand for or their journeys in these like few and uncomplicated lines. So you want to like talk about, I don't know, something that is really close to you. The other thing that I do not want you to do is like always assume that people understand what you're talking about. If I don't know if that makes sense, but try to be as clear as possible. Try to provide as many information as you can. Because one of the things you don't want to do is assume that they know what's going on. You could be like, they have several Rwandans admitted to the school, so they must know what S5 and S6 means. Do not assume that. Or maybe you're like, oh, this person visited us school and visited us in this club. So if I just throw in like peace and love proclaimers, or maybe we had a charity, they will just know what it is. You want to like explain that. You want to also, there's some people who are like actually like when they're explaining like A levels and O levels, which is some of the things I actually see a lot when I'm editing essays, is not explain what A levels and O levels mean. And just like assume that they understand that and be like, when I was in S3, I changed my school to S4, and they're like, why did you change your school? What happened? Try to explain your story and everything that you're writing as if the person doesn't exactly have an idea of what's happening. And that is the best approach that you can actually take to like explain as in detail as possible. And also, one other thing is like choose something that you think speaks to you. Maybe it's your leadership experience. Maybe it's, I don't know, your relationship with your family, your relationship with God, your relationship with maybe, I don't know, this certain academic thing that you like. I don't, however you want to like express yourself. The main thing that you have to know is that in a personal statement, the one person that they should see and they should hear from is you. So you want to use, I did this, I am like this, I believe that. You want to use more eyes. You don't want to highlight any other person. One of the other things that I actually see is people like trying to highlight their sisters, their parents, their friends, their best friends, as people who inspired them, or even like a character who I don't know, somebody like maybe Malala or somebody that they read about, and they want to highlight this person more than they want to highlight themselves. So that you don't want to do that. You want to focus on yourself, which is why, as Lisa said, this takes a long time. For me personally, even though I write a lot and I actually like wrote my personal statement and everything, there is no way I would wake up today and say that I'm writing my personal statement and it is like golden. That does not work. No matter how much experience that you have, no matter how like literally that doesn't work. You have to take time to actually like write, edit, and make sure that throughout your essays you are keeping it clear and that it actually like makes sense. One of the things that Lisa said is like giving your essays to your teachers, your peers, your counselors, your friends to read, and asking them to read as if they don't know you, so they can provide actually like feedback about what they're like reading and everything. So without like taking a lot of time, try to use this space to talk about something that is uniquely you, and try to be as clear as possible, and try to reflect more of yourself than other people. Also, if you can and have time, try to read other essays and try to look for tips on how to go about this. So yeah, that will be it.
All right, thank you very much, Mercy, for that addition on the personal essays. And I think it's very critical because I think we saw this even with our mentees who are applying to be part of the mentorship program. You know, you find in the essays, they're saying, I'm a very good person, very humble, but these are vague words that cannot be, you know, I don't know how I can say it, they cannot be actionable, right? Instead of saying maybe I was a class captain between for 2 years, for example, and this is the impact that I made throughout that tenure of, you know, being a class leader, something like that. So sometimes I've realized when we are applying, we want to kind of, I don't know, appeal to the emotions of the person reviewing that, and you find that these people are reviewing millions of applications. So trust me, if you feel like you have a story that can touch someone's heart, there's somebody else who has a much sadder story, if I can say it like that. So as Mercy said it, try to be as we have the personal story essay, I mean the personal essay section, and then we have the additional essays. So if you feel that a particular event that you have a particular event in your life that happened and you feel that it can really go a long way in pushing your application or explain various things throughout your application, use that space to explain that, but then use the personal essay to kind of shine, because people who are reviewing the common application, I believe it's the first essay they get to encounter. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's among the first essays they get to, you know, kind of encounter. So if they get to read this personal essay as saying that maybe this student was academically excellent, was a leader, and did this project in ABCD and it was amazing, then I would, if I'm reviewing that, I would want to know more about this person. But then if I'm reading a sad story, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is not happening, you know, something like that. So thank you very much, Mercy, for shedding light on that. Again, the common application is large, it's huge, but what we're going to do is just tackle the main key components, and then what you can do is go on, you know, YouTube. There are various people have done content on this. We have Lisa who does content on this, and then we have Next Gen for all that, you know, also avails information about these. We have the mentors who can always, avail such kind of information. So on this platform, we are privileged to have Diane, our Associate Director at Next Gen for All. We have Mr. Pole, the Associate Head of the college admissions, and then we have our mentees of the second cohort. So which means that most people on this platform have already, they're far ahead with their common applications, and probably they've already crafted the personal essays or something like that, the activities list. And this is just kind of, a session to kind of scrutinize the gaps that are still there. So please, if you're here, note down your questions, the challenges or obstacles that you've experienced, and we'll be more than glad to come back to that, or your, personal experience or something like that. So now, since Mercy has taken us through how best to craft your personal essay, there is another aspect that they talked about that is very critical: the activities list. And Lisa, when she was doing an overview, she said that they require you to give 10 activities. So I'm going to welcome Sonia to talk more about the activity list. Why is it important? How can I craft it in a way that I'm going to stand out? Again, you want to make sure that each and every page, the person who is reviewing, each and every page they reach out, they're like, okay, I want to know more and more. And I believe that the activity list also does play a big role in that. So Sonia, please, over to you. Talk about the activity list. What can a student include? How best can I structure it to kind of appeal to the person who's reviewing my materials? Again, you can also start with a brief introduction of yourself, what you're studying, and maybe a little bit of your Common App journey. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everybody. As I said, my name is Sonia Shimagasato, and I go to Oklahoma Christian University. It's in Edmond, in Oklahoma. And I'm a first year. I'm a freshman, and I'm doing computer science with AI. So my journey on Common App was not really different from what Lisa and Mercy have gone through. But all I have to tell you guys is that when you're using Common App is not for the weak. Like if you want to use Common App, please, you need time, you need the energy, you need to be dedicated, you need the focus. Oh my God, you need all of that because Common App is a very big application. Like filling it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of research. You cannot just go on Common App and be like, I'm just going to, this school looks attractive to me. Let me add it. This school looks good to me. Let me add it. No, you have to make a deep research about your interests. Like, what do you want to pursue in college or university? Make a research about the schools in that main field. Like, what schools specialize in that type of field you want to pursue, and then you can add them because 10 schools is a limited number. You cannot add more than 10 schools on Common App. So if you want to put good schools, you have to make a research about the schools. So going on about what I have to say on the activities list. So here you have to just say all about the activities you've been involved in, either in high school, in school, or out of school. It doesn't have to be strictly academic. You can also say things that you've been doing out of school. So it includes clubs, hobbies, sports, work, or volunteering, or other experience in general that you have experienced. So it is under the activities part in the Common App. So you just have to report what you have been doing. So as Lisa said in her short overview, it is not really a complex thing to go through. You have just to explain the type of activity you have been doing, if it's academic, art, if it's club, if it's community service or volunteering. And then you have to put your description, like the position or leadership description you had in that activity, the organization name. Was it through your school? Was it through a business? Was it a community thing? And then you put a brief. When I say brief, because the maximum characters you use here is just 150. You cannot write a lot of things. So you just make it brief. For example, if let's say I was a leader of a club, or I just say I was appointed maybe by the school, and then you say your achievements through this club. We did this, like a very short overview of what you guys were doing. And then after that, you can also put the grades or the level in which you did that, because it's also about they want to know when you did that. Like, what time did you take doing that? How many hours a week? How many days a week were you doing? They want to see like the participation you had in that type of activities. As I said, you can have a lot of activities, just choose the main activities, like the most important activities. It's not, you can have a lot of clubs, you can participate in a lot of volunteering and everything, but you make sure you put the like five most not five, you can even put 10, but the most important thing is like you put the main activities, like the most important activities. They don't want to know a lot, they just want to see how dedicated and focused you've been, you had, or the dedication you had through the activities you were doing. So I don't think the activities list is a really complex thing through Common App. All I can tell you guys, if you don't have an activity right now, I heard some of you are S5, S6, please get involved right now. Like I know you have an additional page where you can say that maybe I wasn't involved in so many activities because I was helping home, I was helping them in their businesses and everything. You can say that, but it's good to at least mention 5 activities that you've been involved in, and it's going to like show them that you had things going on in your life. It's not about just the academics, not about just the school, but you are also a dedicated person. So I would urge you all to start finding activities if you really want to like apply for college or universities. Get your life going, join clubs, start volunteering, do all of that, because you're gonna need it in the activities list, mostly if you're using Common App. So I think that's about extra activities, extracurricular or activities. And yeah,
And
I think that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, please,
Lisa,
you
you
can
can add,
switch it.
yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. So for the activities, kind of like how Sonia was saying, like it's so important that if you're in S5, you need to get involved like yesterday. If you're not involved in any club, anything, yesterday. So do get involved in some stuff. And the reason why it's important to get involved, guys, is because you can actually talk about that in your essay. So for me, my essay, what I talked about, kind of talk even piggybacking off what Mercy said, is your essay can also be one of growth. So if you're going to talk about any hardship, any problems, any I faced this, talk about where you grew. What did you actually do about it? You know what I mean? So for me, my college essay, I talked about how in Rwanda I constantly saw girls out of school, and I saw a lot of people struggling with poverty, not being able to afford um you know all these things like scholarships. So you know what I did? I started a youth organization where we raised $200 in my senior year, and I did it, and I talked about that in my essay. I talked about how I've started this organization, I advocated, I raised money, and I've given back to Rwandan girls. So that's an example of a project I did, which is called a passion project, that looked really good on my what is it called? My essay. And I didn't mention this, but I go to school on a full tuition ride, so I don't pay tuition. And that was actually the reason why they gave it to me, not because of my grades. My grades were okay. They were good, but they weren't like the reason why I got the scholarship. My scholarship was given to me because of the leadership I had. So I just want to encourage anyone who's in S5 or who is in S6 even now, start something in Kigali right now and watch how far you're gonna go. Because beyond college applications, I think what the world needs more is leaders. So people who are like going to drive innovation on the African continent, and those are the people the universities want to have, because they're like, if you can get into Harvard and you're a young Rwandan leader, and then later on you become a Nobel Peace Prize or you win awards, that's actually to Harvard's interest to have you, because they want to claim you early on. So I'm just going to say this: college admissions is a game you want to play, but it's also beyond that. It's a life you want to live, because they only want people, especially international students, who have high impact. So another way you can do this, volunteering. Volunteering, doing an internship is really good. If you're a nursing student, I know Rachel was telling us yesterday that she would go to the hospital and literally just ask for an internship and they would give it to her, right? Go get internships, do something, advocate, join existing organizations that in Rwanda that are doing incredible things for women, for children, for if you like a basketball and you're a boy, I know my brother loves basketball, start a youth camp in the summer. Start something. Those are things that look impressive that you can talk about in your essay. Because I'm gonna be honest, guys, my life is so boring. If I talked about my upbringing in my essay, it would have not worked out because I've gone through problems, so has everybody else. But what set me apart was that I was a young advocate. So I'm just gonna ask anyone here that's on the track, definitely do that. And if you're undergraduate level, I know a lot of undergrads in here, but they might be a couple graduate level. Do research in college. Do research. Talk to your professors. Those are the passion projects you need to do that look good on your graduate level stuff. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
All right. Thank you. Marcy, do you have a point of addition on that?
Yeah, I think I can add a little few things. The only thing that I would want to add that Lisa actually touched on is the leadership thing. When you're trying to when you're trying to, I don't know, grade or try to see which activity goes first or last, you want to base this on the position of the leadership that you held. One thing that is really, really good for your activities list is leadership positions. So if you held any president or you held any, I don't know, vice president, that should take precedence. So that should come first before any other activity, because you're like the leader. If you're like doyenne, so that is like school something, however you described it at your school. If you're ever like that takes like the first place. If you're ever like class captain, that also like goes first. So try to figure out the activities that you're involved in and the leadership positions that you actually had in these organizations. Also, volunteering really, really looks good. So yeah, you want to like make sure that you are really into a lot of like leadership positions. And if you can't get into leadership positions because of any other reason, you're in, whether in S5 or in S6 and have graduated, please volunteer. You can go to your local office in your neighborhood, volunteer to do this and be like, I was a youth volunteer and I did this. That really looks good. You take initiative, you act on it, and then you execute something. That is amazing. So yeah, like just keep that in mind. And if you still have time to actually get these leadership positions in school, please go for them. Do not be shy. And if you can't volunteer a lot. There is a lot of like experience you're gonna get, and that experience you can like reflect on it, and that looks really good. Because even if you didn't get a chance to be in a leadership position or be a leader in this kind of organization, you were still passionate about it enough that you volunteered and actually made change. So keep that in mind as well.
Thank you very much. I think you've all raised very critical points when it comes to activity list. And something that I would like to tell the audience is that the way our system is sometimes we get drained in books and just being academically strong. And then we forget that outside my academics, I need to also be judged as a whole person. Was I just a bookworm? Or outside studies, was I also doing something different? Or maybe something community related? Again, as when we started out this session, I told you that most of the people that we get to compete against in this kinds of application. They're way far ahead of us. They knew about these applications like years ago, and they started prepping years ago, either for the application and either for the institution that they're applying for. So for us, we usually have a short time, first of all, to get to know about this kind of spaces and then how to apply and actually stand out. So, which is why we exist as Next Gen for All, exactly, bringing these kinds of information so that if you're senior 5, at least that gives you around 2 years to prepare. If you're in senior 6, you have that window of time to prepare. And if you're already done, you're already crafting your essays, then where the gaps are and how to scrutinize that. So one thing you need to know from what I've picked from all the panelists is that first of all you need to be engaged in some sort of activities, right? So you need to also know that if I was a class captain, okay, that was amazing, but what impact did you do as a class captain, right? If I was a head girl or head boy, what impact did I do? And I know, again, I understand we can't all be class captains or head girls, but then I was part of the football team. But was I just a participant, or was I maybe, I don't know how to call it, a leader within that football team? And maybe through what we did, we were able to, win tournaments, not just in the school, even outside the school, and something like that, showing that in whatever area that you are placed in, you're able to lead some lead impact, something like that. So if you're in senior 5, this is the perfect opportunity for you to start planning for that. Again, I would also recommend that you become intentional, right? Here on our panelists, we have they have a background in computer science. And let's say you're also that student, you are passionate about computer science. I want to do, computer science for my undergrad studies. If I can give you a short story, some few days back, we visited ALU students, and one student shared that they were doing a project they had come from a camp, a refuge camp, and got the opportunity to get sponsorship and so whatnot. But they still went back, started the person is currently concentrated in some AI studies, so he went back and currently is now teaching machine learning to young kids there in the refugee camp. So already when you hear that kind of student, yeah, that's a visionary student. And even if you don't have any leadership role in your school, right? In your communities, what difference are you making? If you're passionate about health, something like that, we have health centers, we have several health facilities where you can visit and knock the door and say, hey, I need an internship, just free internship for the exposure and to get to understand what is going on. So I think in a nutshell, that's what I would say. When you're crafting your activity list, you need to start with your very, very best, but know how to articulate them, be concise, and show the impact. So I think now that brings us to half. We are currently at the half of the whole session, and it has been quite an insightful session. And I saw a lot of questions in the chat box, and I believe there are even more. But for the interest of time, we'll just go through the remaining bits and then we jump into the Q&A. So we are going to tackle recommendation letters. And I know this is a challenge that Brandon students get to have because first of all, getting someone to, recommend you, it's a hassle apparently. And number two, getting them to craft that recommendation letter that is going to open doors, that is also another challenge. So since we have 3 panelists who've gone through the process, faced the same obstacles, we want to understand how did you overcome that? What would you advise a person who right now is pushing for early decision, but then is having a hard time with the recommendation letters? What would you advise? So I'll open up the floor to pass the mic to Sonia, and then from there we'll get to hear from all the rest of the panelists. Thank you.
All right. So regarding the letters of recommendation here, everyone has their own story to tell because it depends on the school you go to or the type of relationship you have with counselors or teachers and everything, which I would advise everyone here, please maintain a good relationship with your counselors, advisors, or dean of studies because if you know you're going to need the letters of recommendations, they have to know you as a person. So for me, I think it's different from me. I I personally went to the Notre Dame de Citeaux when I was back in Rwanda, and we didn't have school counselors or advisors. So it was hard for me to find someone to recommend to write for me the letters of recommendations. And one thing I want to highlight here before I start going into my letters of recommendation journey is that on the common application there is a professional profile for the counselors, teachers, mentors, and those people who can, send letters of recommendation for the students trying to apply. So common application is not just for the students, but I want to let you know that there's also an educational professional profile where you can really urge your teachers, your advisors, your school, if they don't have that page to create it. So for me, the people who recommended me, they're my teachers, my dean of studies, and you just go, you tell them you're doing, an application on Common App, and then you request them to write a letter of recommendation. So as I said, not all the teachers and deans and mentees and counselors and all of those have the common application professional profile. So if they're willing to create that profile, you can talk with them. If they're willing to create it, they can create it for that sole purpose. But there is a recommend when you're there is a site on Common App. There is a page where you have to put the people who are going to recommend you, who are going to submit the letters of recommendation, and then you can always reach up to them and tell them that you added them as your recommenders because you're going to have to put their emails where they can reach them. And then if they don't have the professional page, they're just gonna email them and ask them to send the recommendation letter. Another thing I have to tell you guys is that Common App asks for school profiles. So I want you guys to talk to your school about the school profile, make sure they have it, because a school profile it shows the overview context about the school academics, the community environment, and all of that, which is really important. So for me personally, I feel this letters of recommendation is all about having someone to recommend you, and sometimes they'll ask you to draft it yourself, and they're go on basing on that. Maybe your teachers don't know your involvement in clubs, they don't know what you're doing in school. As I said, I urge you to start doing things in school so that you get yourself known, because to recommend you, that person has to know you, has to know who is maybe Sonia as a person, what is she achieving in school, how is her leadership positions, because recommendation is a professional trying to explain to the university or college how they've known Sonia as a student or as a person, what are her good characteristics, what are her skills, what are her experiences, what has she been through here, what has she been able to achieve here. So sometimes they're going to ask you to draft a recommendation, and they can base on that later on. But actually, recommendations later are supposed to be private, and that's why it is important that they're sent by the school officials, the counselors, the advisors, not just directly by you. But some schools, they let you send your own recommendation. They just think maybe they wrote it to you and gave it to you in person. You can just submit that. But it is important to like talk to your school officials and ask them to send it direct to the school, because that way they see that the school is involved and it is authentic. Because here you don't want to get flagged. It is important that everything you send is really authentic and it is proved that it is directly from the school. It is not forged. You didn't do it on your own, so that it doesn't get you in trouble. I feel like that was my experience overall. Lisa can share her own experience, and Mercy too. But for me, I can say it was a little bit hard for me because we didn't have advisors, we didn't have counselors. But I did talk to my dean of studies, and he helped me through that. He helped me, set up. He agreed to set up a professional account on Common App, and he would go through that process. I would always be in his office, checking errors. I drafted the recommendation letter, took it to him, and he made some changes and was like, "Oh, I know you forgot this, you forgot this, you forgot this," and then he put that, and then he could, just send it to the school through email or through the dashboard. But y'all should, start talking to your school officials, mostly the deans of studies, because if you don't have a counselor, if you don't have an advisor, the dean of studies is the right person for the letters of recommendation. Lisa, you can also share your experience.
Yeah, every person's experience with recommendations is so different. I know that when I applied for university, my process was very easy, but I also went to boarding school in the US, and to get admission to boarding school, I actually had to also get recommendations from my Rwandan teachers. It was very hard. So, some tips I want to give you guys is number one, create a brag sheet. Like that, kind of like how much Sonia said, like she had to draft her recommendation. It's virtually the same thing. Like if you're gonna ask your teacher, let's say your mathematics teacher, because American colleges, they actually want to hear from your math teacher and your English teacher and an additional recommendation. Those are three recommendations that you're gonna need for um your process. So only three, right? So knowing that, if you don't have a good relationship with your math teacher, I want you to build that. Like actually solve the problems you have with your math teacher, because they are going to write your recommendation. If you have a problem with the English teacher, I know I had problems with my English teacher at some point. I had to fix it because she's going to recommend me, and you want her to recommend you in the best way possible. And then the third recommendation, this is my favorite one. It's anyone. You can ask anyone. You can ask your pastor. You can't ask your mom. You can't ask your dad. That's not acceptable. But you can ask your pastor. You can ask a supervisor at work. You can ask your coach. So somebody who knows you really well. And this is where you can actually shine. If you feel like, okay, I go to, let's say, this is an example. I go to Wellspring or I go to Lycée de Kigali and I don't feel like my teachers know me like that. Oh, but my basketball coach knows me. Okay, but my dance teacher knows me. But my mentor knows me. Those are people you can ask, and they can write you the best rec if you feel like your teachers won't do the best. So, number one, brag sheet. If you're going to a recommender for your math teacher, take a Google Doc with everything you've achieved, what you want them to talk about, kind of like exactly what Sonia did. Go to them with something. If you go empty-handed, you will not have a good success rate, especially for competitive universities. Number two, make sure that the third recommendation comes from someone who knows you really well. Think outside the box. I Who did I ask? When I was applying, I think I asked a mentor. So that was a mentor who was in my life who wrote for me my third rec. Another thing is I just lost my train of thought. But another thing is, oh, yes, please. If you want to get into a top institution, and Mercy can talk about it because she goes to Wellesley, and that's like one of the best colleges in the States. Congrats to you, by the way, senior year. Um, you need to make sure everything is legit. If you falsify it, if you use AI, if you make you just want to go these other routes, you're paying people to write them, and they find out, even if you graduate from that university, they will take away your degree years later if they find out. So you have to make sure that this is really done in a transparent manner. Go to your teacher, make sure that you give it to them, and then after, make sure a teacher sends it. Do not make the mistake of sending your recommendation unless you talk to the school and they're like, okay, you can send it. That's fine. But if you want to get it to like MIT, Wesley, Harvard, the top schools in America that they give you good money, good financial aid, please, please, please maintain that integrity with your recommendations. No one, you don't have to send them. Don't do it. It's not gonna work for you. Um, yeah, I would definitely say that's something I would say. Yeah, over to you, Mercy.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I think Lisa and Sonia covered almost everything. And yeah, I really want to come back to AI. You guys, for the love of God and everything good, please do not use AI. If your teachers are recommending you and they get tempted to use AI, you would rather not have that recommendation. So the one thing that I know personally for me when I was applying, what like Lisa and Sonia said, these professors, these teachers, they know you, but they don't know everything about you. There are some things that you want to highlight. Also, so please have like that brag sheet. Please, like, also for yourself, sit down and think hard. When you actually are done with your activities list, you can take stuff from your activities list and then use them for your recommendation. Here is the thing. You want them to talk about these things, but you don't want them to make it also so general. You want to sit down with them and explain exactly what you did. You don't want them to be like, oh, she was also the class president where she helped her fellow classmates with day-to-day problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very, very important if your recommender can talk about more than that. Maybe remember a time where it was really hard for maybe your class to have something and you did something and you're like, and then she's like, I was really impressed when she did this as a 17, 18-year-old. That was really impressive to see her thought process and everything. So you want to do that. You want to, like what Lisa said, you want to sit down with them, have a relationship with them, be good to them. You are literally asking for this service for them. So please be humble and try to like actually like get this from them. One other thing that she said was range, which is one of the things that people do kind of like not do. So for me, I did PCB, which well, I did not get my math recommendation, but I think I got my physics and chemistry. Those were one of the subjects that I was like really, really good at, and I had like really good relationships with these professors. So I got those 2 recommendations from them. I also got my English recommendation. And yeah, so what she said, if you're trying to talk to these teachers and giving them the things that you want them to talk about, it is really important that the recommendations are kind of different. You don't want all the 3 recommenders talking about you being the head girl. They can, if they have different stories, that's okay. But you don't want them to have the same account of what you did in these activities. You want them to like literally talk about you differently in each recommendation later, which I think for most foreign teachers, they're really flexible with letting you read and proofread and help them edit and try to like make it very, very like unique to you. So you want to do that. You want to, what you say, you want to like have one person who you're really confident that knows you academically and your strengths. Math is really important, but if you're not doing any lesson with math, it is okay. You can take this one other person that you really think that they know you academically and they can account for analytical and thinking skills and whatever. English, why the English one is really important for international students is because they want to know how much of the English skills do you have? How good are you as a presenter? How good are you to express your opinions in English? How good are you as a writer? What else? I think those are like the 3 parts of the English language, and the English person or your English recommender should highlight this. They should. I think it's really important they highlight your writing and speaking skills and presentation skills, because they're really like, they have no other thing to go on from except from this person saying, I am an English teacher, I've been an English teacher for this many years, and she is really good at this. And also the extracurricular. So yeah, I think those are the things that you want to like keep in your mind. Recommendations, you would think that this is something that should concern your recommenders, but this is something that concerns you more than it concerns them.
That's
because
true.
you have to take charge and you have to be really, really, this is the one, I don't know how to talk about this without like sounding so, but this is like the one place you want to give also attention. Apart from your personal statement, the recommendations also take really great weight because they look at them really, because your personal statement is you saying what you know about yourself, how you view yourself, what you think is moving to you or what motivates you. Recommendation letters are other people who are not you looking at you and assessing you and being like, she is this, he is this, she does this, he does that. So you want to be really, really careful and not like leave it to them. If you know you do not have a relationship with your math teacher or your English teacher, please build that and don't be like, they will do it. Please check on them. Make this your problem and their problem so that it can be good. So yeah, that is about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I'll also just piggyback off that just real quick is request them in advance. So like if you're in senior 5, you can even request them as early as March. So you can just have it, right? And then if you're in senior 6, you need to request them now because they're about to be due, but you can also request them in advance. That would be it.
Right. Thank you very much. And I think this has been it really touched base on some of the challenges that we face, because you find that a student has gone through all the trouble of creating the common app, navigating the whole application, but you find that the student
Rachel, there's one thing, they should also, I hope your teachers and counselors really know how to write like the recommendation letter. They should know that they have to add the school logo, the school information, location, and all of that because it looks more authentic with all the school. Yeah. That's it.
I think, yeah, it makes sense because they have to put it on a letterhead or something like that that shows that this is an official thing. So, thank you very much for sharing that, because most of the times, first of all, getting recommenders is very difficult, and I think you really brought up a key point, because if I'm planning to submit in November or December, and I know I will still need a recommendation letter from my math teacher, my English teacher, and I don't remember the third person you said, you need to start right now, because as you know, already getting a recommendation is really difficult. No, I don't think anybody enjoys writing, especially our teachers. So like on top of all the work I have to do, I have to sit down and write you a recommendation. Now that is if you're a good student. Now if you're a student who do not have quite a good relationship, now that's a whole other story. So we would recommend start early in everything that you're doing, either application, common application. This is not something you're going to do overnight and be done with it. If you're planning to do US applications, you're planning to do it through common application, you should have already started. But if you have not started, the best time to start is right now. And number two, while you're doing your whole application, since you already know everything to expect within the common applications, i.e. recommendation letters, and you know that they take long, start approaching the teachers early on. Tell them, for teachers who don't really know exactly you as a person, tell them, start telling them what you're doing, what you're working on, asking advice on something that you're doing, so that, that you're already kind of building that relationship and the kind of building familiarity with what you're doing, something like that, so that by November, or if you're submitting for early decision somewhere in December, you already have these letters with you. Another thing I took away is that sometimes a school has to create a school profile on Common App. Again, you correct me if I'm wrong. And that means sometimes, most of all the schools in Rwanda, I don't think that they're really familiar with this, which means you're going to also have to walk an extra mile, move into the office of the dean, say, hey, I am applying to US institutions and I'm applying through Common App, and they're saying that you need to create a school profile on this Common App. And I don't think it's a daunting process. It's just getting down to the PC and putting things together. So, but if there is no one pushing for that, fueling that, it's not going to happen. So you are going to have to be able to push for that. And another thing that I think it's Mercy who came back on this is the usage of AI. We are in the AI pandemic, if I can say it. So you find that even when we're looking at the personal essay, 650 words to talk about how I stand out as a person is difficult if I don't have AI. But one thing that these institutions are looking for is authenticity. And I would not want to put anyone in a position where you get flagged, because regardless of the fact you used AI, there's some bits of you that are really good and unique, but then you are denying them the opportunity to meet that side of you. And how you're doing that is through the usage of AI. So if you're planning to do common applications and you want to see good results out of it, refrain from the usage of AI. So I think that's it. It has been quite an interesting and informative session for me, and I learned a lot. I was introduced to common applications back in the day. That was around 2K17. It's been quite a minute, and I think I'm grateful for the fact that we got to have this session, especially for students who here on these platforms are already going through the applications, and those who even didn't know anything about common applications. I believe that after this session they're going to go back and be able to approach this in a different light. So, to conclude off this session, I want us to touch base on two things and we conclude on that: how to submit transcripts and the grading scale conversions. And I think that is very important because our system is different from how it reflects within a common app. And then we can go over that in about 3 minutes, and then we'll be transitioning into the Q&A sessions. And while we are at that, I would like to call upon our audience that if you have any questions, if you have any queries that you need clarifications for, you will just have to raise your hands just like Shalua has done, and we'll be able to unmute you and you can voice out your queries. So for now, I'm going to pass on the mic to the panelists to talk about, I think it was Sonia and Lisa, to break down how do you submit and prepare transcripts and so whatnot, and then we move in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
All right. It's really easy to do the whole transcripts and academic record. Lisa can talk about the transcripts. I'm just going to talk about the academic records and grading in common application. It is really easy. It is just under the academics under the education in common application. All you have to do is give information about your recent or most recent high school or recent secondary school, and then you give information, the name, what you are doing. If you went to multiple high schools, you can also say that. And under the grades, so here you have to talk about the class size you're in. Sometimes when you're using common application, you have to make research. You will find here some words that you're not used to, some very complex word. You can always Google that. You can really understand it, because in the grading system, they're going to ask you if your ranks or grades are weighted or unweighted. It's a system they use here. Please always use the unweighted system, because in Rwanda, we use the regular or standard system, which is unweighted. It is always unweighted because it is a normal scale of grading, the one we use on 100% or it's normal, because the weighted system is the one they use here, where they give you extra credits for maybe a difficult course or something like that. And I'm not sure in Rwanda we have that, and we just use the unweighted. So everywhere, please use unweighted, and it is really easy to just convert the whole percentage of your courses to A, B, C, D. I think you all know that. A is from 90 to 100, B is from 80 to 89, I guess, somewhere it's a range of that, and F I think is below 50, and then where they say cumulative GPA, it's just I urge you to put the total okay, I can say the average of your 3 years, your 3 years like studies in, high school is 4, is 5, is 6. You can just, make an average of that and, put it on 100. They will require you to select a GPA scale reporting. You can just say it's over 100 because that's the normal scale reporting we use. Then you can make a cumulative of that, and I think that is it. That is it. You don't have any honors in Rwanda, so that is not really necessary. Yeah, it is really easy in the grading system. You have to just make sure it is accurate because later on you have to to submit transcripts which are gonna like show that what you put in was true and correct. So make sure when you're trying to convert them, you convert them the right way. And please, if you don't know what you're doing, make sure you ask because common application can be very complex. Make sure you ask someone if you don't really understand what you're trying to do so that you don't do the wrong thing. And because here when you make even a small mistake and you say something that is really different from what you're showing, it is strictly a no. So you have to make sure that what you have put and what you're saying, it meets, it matches. So Lisa can talk about the rest.
So the transcripts, right? So for transcripts, it's pretty simple. You just have to make sure that somebody, like a school official, sends them over. It's the same thing with our recommendation. You cannot send your own transcripts. The reason is, guys, if I was to send my own transcripts and I failed the class, I can just say I passed the class. I can put an A, put my grade. So colleges want to make sure you're not falsifying your documents. And it's the same thing in life. Anything you do, taxes, everything. So this is not hard. It's life. Literally everything has its legitimacy. So make sure that transcripts are sent by your school. And another thing also we were talking about with Rachel, if you're a mentee and you're having struggles getting recommendations, getting your transcript sent over, include the include next gen, ask them for help and just be like, hey, can you guys come over with me, walk to my scots, I want to walk and talk to my, because some of these people are very scary. Sadly, it's like sometimes they don't even want to help you. It's kind of sad. The system in Rwanda is not designed really, it's not yet prepped up enough. It is growing, but it's not prepped enough to support students to go abroad. So I would say, like, if you need help, you can always ask next gen to advocate for you, and they can do that too. So don't think you're alone in this process. Just make sure you're asking for help and make sure you're doing everything by the book. Do not be tempted to pay somebody, to lie, to falsify, to get it notarized, but it's false. Yeah, make sure it's legit.
All right, I can add something on that. If you're putting in your grades and there is because there is a place where you have to put the grades, like if you are taking chemistry, you're taking chemistry, how many marks did you get in chemistry, you can change that. If you know that you have, don't exclude any course, put all of them there. If you know that there's a course where you didn't do well, you can always talk about that in the additional information. That's why it's there. You can always say the reason why I have few marks or where I have a bad grade in this course is because maybe I was helping home, I was sick in the period of the exam. You can always, they just want to see that you have, you can even communicate about that. You can always talk about that so that they can see that maybe it wasn't your fault. It can be your fault, and sometimes it cannot be your fault, but you can always address that, in the additional information and be like, I got a bad grade here, but it was because of this and this and this. So I'm not usually like this. Mostly if you know that your previous grades were good, you can always say that, the bad grade was due to a specific reason. It might help you.
All right, thank you very much. I think it comes back to the issue of authenticity. If you did PCB, physics, chemistry, biology, you got Fs in physics, don't worry, put it there. It's part of being authentic. But then in the additional essays, why did you get Fs? Maybe you took a test, maybe you had missed out a whole term or something, and then you explain that. Use that part of the the additional essays to come back to all the reasons of the gaps that are within the whole application. So thank you very much for shedding light on the transcript submission and the grading scale conversion. So each and every person that is here that is currently on that stage, here you've heard it yourself, how best to, navigate that. And that brings us to the conclusion of the webinar. Officially opening it up for the Q&A. I know we've taken longer than we should, but I hope that we'll be able to take at least 3 to 5 questions, and then we close off the session. So Shalua was the first person to raise their hand. I'm going to unmute you, and then you can voice your query. Yes, Shalua.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Shalua, and I'm currently in Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
I would really first to say that you're really doing a great job. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward for like master scholarship because this was more of like undergraduate scholarships. But even in that, I was really, really able to learn and to know more about some of the tips in applying, like for example being authentic and recommendations, because now I'm understanding some reasons why most of the applications couldn't get through. Like there is one recommendation that I got, but it didn't have the letterhead, the logo, and every stuff. So I wanted to know more if there are master scholarships that you would recommend, because I'm just new here. I just logged in.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, what we do at NextGen is that we avail academic information about either undergrad opportunities and grad opportunities. And we usually, if you follow all our platforms or any platform you can think of, we are there. If you follow us, we usually have webinars on grad opportunities. 2 weeks back, we had one on chevening, and before that, we had one about Stanford, Knight Hennessy. Before that, we had one about Erasmus Mundus. So we try to cover most of those opportunities. Unfortunately, chevening has closed off, but I believe there are several other opportunities that are still open for you. So if you go on a platform, on a website, you still find these opportunities, and you're already on the right platform, next gen. So with that, by going through our pages, you'll be able to get these kinds of information. But I would recommend, there's several. I Since this is an undergrad space, I don't want to go much deeper into that. But on our pages, there are a lot of information regarding grad opportunities, and you can always send us messages, and we can always get back to you regarding the same. Otherwise, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. And there is one that is currently running, Erasmus Mundus. We have there is another one about government. One to Ireland, something like that. So just go on our website, you'll find all the information there. Others, thank you. So this one
Thank you
was
as
addressed
well.
to me.
I
uh,
learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Guys,
uh,
that's my actual like. Wait, actually, I think she's my cousin. I don't know, but that's my yeah.
Hi, Keza.
Amazing, amazing supports. Right, so we are pushing on to Sanyu. Sanyu had also raised her hand.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
I'm coming in as a mother on this webinar, and I just want to thank you all for what you're doing. And to highlight what is the role of the parent in your journey while you're applying for college applications, because the journey is very, very daunting. And somewhere in the middle of the journey, the student will always want to give up. But your parent is a springboard on which you stand for encouragement. And yeah, you have to rely on your parents for prayer, for encouragement. They will always tell you, go on, don't give up. Because they are so experienced, they know that discouragement is part of life. Discouragement is part of life. And also, I want to encourage you in the college applications to manage your time. Do not procrastinate. I remember while my daughter was applying, I used to remind her, do not procrastinate. Do what you have planned to do. The deadlines are so important. The deadlines are crazy. They are crazy. And when you do your application and do it on last minute, you're done, you're gone. Number three, or last, I want to encourage you to dream big. Dream big, like big. If the dream is not bigger than yourself, you're not going to make it. If it is small, then you don't have anything to compete for, you know? Go for the dream. Go for the dream, go for the big dream and big dream. Okay?
Has to take what she
Be
said.
blessed.
I want you guys to take what that she said, because that's my mom.
Amazing,
That's
amazing.
my mom. So she supported me. I am in this position because of her. So I want you guys. Thanks, mom. Actually, that's not even her name, so I didn't know who that was. But yeah.
All right, all
All
right.
right. God bless you all. Thank you for the work you're doing. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. I think I feel very humbled right now. This is the first time we have a mom join our session. And really, I am short of words. It's amazing. I think this is history. But I think she raised something very important. Again, the application process, when you talk about this, it feels very easy, but it's very daunting. It's a lot of work because when we started out, Sonia was mentioning how she did application to 10 institutions. I can't imagine going through 10 institutions applying, essay writing, reviewing, recommendation. And then we have Lisa who did all the way to 30 universities applying to them. We have Mercy who did 20. And, that's a number, but the work that is behind that number, it's a lot. So sometimes you need that support system, having someone who, can believe you, can push you, and make sure that you're not just procrastinating. Again, creating an account on Common App is very easy. Everything is very easy, but going throughout the whole application, it's another whole process. So you need that support system. And I think it's one thing that we're doing at NextGen, the fact that each and every mentee at least has at, at least has a mentor, and at the end of the week, there is a follow-up that is going on. If this week they were working on the activity list, there is someone who's going to ask you, hey, how far are you with your activity list? Can I have a look at it? Can we submit the activity list? Can I have a look at your personal essay? And this person is going to even go an extra mile to check whether there is an AI, AI, whether you used AI, something like that. So having that person that can walk the journey with you can make a whole difference. And for people who joined us much later while we did an introduction, this was a webinar that has been put together by NextGen for All, which is an organization that avails information about various academic opportunities out there for students, either graduate or undergrad. And specifically, this session we wanted to tackle how, if I'm a student and I want to apply to US, what are the several pathways out there for us. And we saw that you can apply through common applications, through which you can apply to various institutions all at the same time. And then there is another one called Score, and there is where you can also apply directly to the institutions. We didn't tackle much on that, but those are also options out there, and you can always go Google and get much more information on that. So I've tried to kind of cover everything that we went through in this session in a nutshell. But then again, this is a recorded session, so we'll be more than glad to share this to everyone who registered. And again, somewhere at the middle of the session, I said that we were, blessed to have our social director on this platform, our founder, Mr. Julius, on the platform, and the head Associate Head of College Admission, Mr. Pole. So I'm going to give him a few minutes to maybe speak about the work they're doing in the Undergrad Mentorship College, and then maybe speak on behalf of our mentees that are on this platform and maybe touch base on what they're currently working on. So, Mr. Pole, over to you.
No, thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. So my name is Pauline, as you said, and I come from Rwanda, also like in the Dauphin province of Rwanda in Lurindo district. So I'm honored to be here today as the Associate of Mentorship Program at NextGen, and also as a proud NextGen scholar from the last year's cohort. So I want to start by saying that applying to universities in the US is not easy. It's not like coding a move and having it alive in 2 minutes, or maybe ordering food with Wawa and getting it delivered in 1 minute. The process is complex, demanding, and sometimes can feel overwhelming, especially when you're like doing it for the first time. So like many of you, I once faced the pleasure. We also like see that in our mentees that they always face this problem of like the pressure and uncertainty in applying to universities through Common App. I remember like how challenging it can be, and despite like everyone's effort, sometimes you make it or you don't make it. But thanks to the skills, guidance, and support I received from NextGen, which also the mentees we have now are receiving, I was able to secure a full ride scholarship at one of the best universities in Hong Kong. So the experience again from like working on the Common App made every other application feel so easy and more like manageable. So at NextGen, one of like our core pillars of work is the mentorship program. So currently we have an amazing cohort of like 20 mentees and 13 mentors. So our mentors like come from like the top universities like Harvard, MIT, Oklahoma, and more, which brings like a wealth of experience and a genuine passion for helping students succeed. So every week we host like interactive sessions focused on making each section of the Common App application stand out. So whether it's maybe perfecting your personal statement, highlighting your extracurricular activities, or maybe crafting a compelling activities list. So our mentors like guide students, mentees step by step to make their application shine. So, but also our support goes beyond just application only. We assist with also like the document preparations, as you said, with the transcripts, offer like interview coaching, and also like help our mentees manage deadlines to ensure that every component of the application is submitted on time. So our like mentors help students navigate the unique requirements of different scholarships, which maximizes their chances like of success. So if you are passionate about also applying in the US, I encourage you also to join NextGen. So the applications for the next mentorship are gonna open next year, like in May. So, and we would love to see you all guys apply, whether you're a mentor, a mentee, or maybe a supporter. So I always encourage you also like to follow our socials, because that's where like we always post like opportunities that are there out there you can try as well. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and also like feel free to visit NextGen website to ensure that you stay updated. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Pole. And I couldn't find the right words to say everything that he did. So we were very happy and pleased to have you on this platform today. And there you've had it. So if this was your first time to hear about NextGen, be an ambassador. If you're coming from École de Sciences, Musanze, Jimano, where we've had scholars coming from there, mentors coming from there, please go back, share this information with them, let them know about NextGen. Again, our services are free of charge, which is why we want to have even more people here. All we want is to, have education, equity in education. So I think to close off, I'm going to give each panelist 30 seconds to maybe closing remarks, right? To someone who is currently far ahead in the application, what one thing would you tell them? There's something that you wish you had known that you know now. Maybe some words of encouragement or something they could do different. 30 seconds and then we close off. Thank you very much. So we'll start with Lisa.
Yes. Okay, so 30 seconds. I would say my biggest thing and the biggest thing I always talk about is like if the goal is to get into college, I feel like your priorities are wrong. The goal should always be to be the best version of yourself, to be a leader, and college helps you get there. You know what I mean? Um, it's everyone's biggest dream to live abroad. I think you should put your best foot forward, and that starts with your attitude. If I ask you where do you want to go, tell me the best call. Like how my mom was saying, dream so big. Do not apologize for dreaming big. Do not say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna be humble." Rwandans, we are humble, but I will tell you this, guys, being humble does not get you fed. The people who get fed in America are the ones who are loud and so extreme and they just want to eat everything, and that's not good at times, but we also have to adapt. Like living in America, I've learned that you just got to get every opportunity. Speak, talk, post about it, create LinkedIn. If you're a grad student, you're trying to get into grad school, you need to have a LinkedIn. Create LinkedIn, post about your career progression, have updates, watch a lot of YouTube videos, read a lot of books. That's number one because we're not always taught how to write essays. I learned how to write essays by reading a lot of books junior year or my S5. So that's the biggest advice I would say. Be so passionate about it. Be a leader, read books. Just really do the most. Don't if your goal is to just get into college, you will be disappointed if you don't get rejections and then you'll feel like you lost yourself in the process. I want you to use this process to discover yourself and just put your best foot forward. Yeah. And also, let's stay connected too. Follow my LinkedIn, follow my TikTok. I would love to stay connected. Yes.
Yes, Sonia.
All right. The advice I would give everyone here is one, start early because it takes a long time. It takes a lot of courage. You are going to be discouraged midway. Just start early and get out of your comfort zone and please learn from your mistakes. If you got rejections, let it not discourage you. Instead, learn from it. Just find somewhere, like find where you did. There are so small mistakes that people do and they don't realize they did that. And you can always and always, change that. And you're always free to, apply also through the school's portal directly. That is also something you can do. Yeah, good luck, all of you, and I hope you guys get into your favorite and the best colleges in the world.
All right, all right. Thank you, Mercy.
Yeah, I think they touched base on everything. I think one thing that I want to say is like rejections do not define you. They do not mean that you're not smart enough or that you're not, I don't know, a leader, that you're not passionate enough about what you're doing. You can get rejected based on a number of things that are really weird. It's like an atypical situation. So you don't have to define yourself on that. I'm going to piggyback on what like Lisa said. You should not make your whole personality and your whole goal and your whole life about getting into a college in the US or abroad. The whole process of like applying for the US application, what is the most beautiful thing about it is that you reflect on yourself, you reflect on your goals when you're writing your personal statement, your additional statement, when you're writing about a lot of things, you're reflecting on what you do. So try to make your goal to be the best version of yourself. What you want to do in the future? What is it that you want to get at? What is it that you want to do? You want to be a leader in this situation? Do you want to be maybe build your own company? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Make that the whole thing that you want to do. That makes it easier because college is now like a channel and it's not the only channel. You can see other things because the one thing is that you will come from maybe a the sensitive manner. You were always the first. You were always like, maybe you're also even the head boy. You had all things and everything. And then you apply and then they reject you. And then you think that your life is over. You think that your whole definition of who you are as a leader, as a person is done. But that is not the truth. And you should be realistic and know that that is not the truth. And try to use this time, this reflection, this thing that you're using, your writing and everything, to think more about what you want from your life and where you want to be. So what she said, do not make getting into college and getting an admission your whole personality and your whole purpose, because it might get crushed. She applied 30 rejections and she got a school. I applied 20 rejections and I got a school. The whole point was that was not me getting into college. If I didn't get into Walsey, I was always thinking about like going to ALU, and I was thinking about projects that I wanted to do in Rwanda, things that I actually found passion from when I was applying. And I was like, I can do this still if I remain in the country. That is not a thing. I was connecting with different people throughout the industry that I wanted to do. I was volunteering at my local office. There were other things that I was looking at and trying to not think that this is the thing. It's fine, or if I don't get this, then it's done. So please do not do that. And yeah, if you put your heart into it, you give it your best effort, you will get a school. So do not worry too much about it, but also do not make it your whole point of existence. So yeah, I will say that. Thank you.
And that has beautifully brought us to the conclusion of our webinar. I want to send a huge vote of appreciation to our panelists today. It was really amazing having each and everyone share your experience, share, that we could feel that, you want to make a difference in the life of someone who's hearing, or anybody else who is going to be able to hear this session. And we say thank you very much for taking out the time to say, let me come share my journey, let me prepare materials and present with you guys, so that I know most of you guys, I know Mercy is you're in the sophomore, most of you are far ahead, and that means you had to kind of go back and do research again about Common Up and everything. So that means a lot for us. And the fact that, we don't get to give you anything out of this, is just out of service. And we say thank you very much for taking the time to, allocate almost more than 2 hours on this platform, just sharing and making sure that all people here on this platform are going to be able to learn the academic trajectory. So thank you very much, and let's keep in touch. To Lisa, you can still be connected with Next Gen for All. We want to have you more often, and maybe in future we can look at how maybe you can also join our team of mentors. And yeah, to the Next Gen community, I would like to say also say thank you very much for making this whole session a success and availing the time to be here. To our mentees who are currently on this platform, I wish you all the best and the applications that you're doing, and we can't wait to celebrate each and every one of you. To everyone that is here, this is an opportunity to become the greater you, to learn your academic, whatever goal that you have, and our goal is to get you there. And thank you very much for taking the time to be on this platform. I think this brings us to the end of the webinar. Have a lovely morning to our panelists, and to the rest of us, have a lovely evening. Bye for now.